What's going on with Calle Jarnkrok too? Like that is my fascination. I'm sure you saw this yesterday, but we talked about Brad Treliving speaking. He mentioned that Jarnkrok, who's trying to battle back from sports hernia surgery, I believe, had a setback over the weekend. He'll see a specialist in New York this week before determining next steps. Like this went from a thing where it seemed like he was coming around in training camp. I think he even got into a game or two. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but then all of a sudden shut down. And now we're at the 15 game mark of this season. There's no end in sight as to when we'll see Jarnkrok again as a Maple Leaf. It's weird.
Oh, that I thought he was very close. I thought him and Hockenpah were right beside each other as far as, their timeline. I thought they could both come back kind of the same type of week, just based on nothing more than just what they're talking about as far as their progression. And now that I hear that, I'm thinking 2024 is toast for Calle Jarnkrok. I could easily see him going right into that winter break and picking things up in the new year and maybe being healthy for that. But by all accounts, it sounds like he's had a pretty significant setback, which nothing more frustrating than, your body has gone through something and you work and you work and you work. And, the expectation is for it to get stronger and stronger, and you feel it less and less, and it hinders you less and less as the days go on. And all of a sudden you hit that button and say, yeah, activate me, I'm ready to rock. And then you're doing that. And then all of a sudden, whomp, you go way back several weeks or however far the setback is. I can only imagine he was, pumping up the intensity with his skating and his off ice routine and everything, and jammed something up and tweaked it. I haven't had a hernia before, but I know guys that have. It seems fairly, like it what the hell am I trying to say? Debilitates you pretty significantly just with the area it is in your core. And if he had a major setback, that's kind of the worst news for him. So I just, in the back of my mind, I'm chalking him up to being back sometime in 2025, which is not great news for the depth of forwards, if you ask me.
Yeah, and I think Evander Kane's sort of dealing with the same thing with the Edmonton Oilers, right? It's around the same type of issue, but to me, it's just the wording, like how he seemed to be close, and all of a sudden he's no longer close. And then they say that last week there's no timetable, and then the news comes out on Monday that he's at a setback. It just concerns me moving forward. I wonder what this means for, Jarnkrok in general for this season. Were they factoring him in? I think he's a useful player. He's a right-handed shooting guy, could play up and down your lineup. I think the important thing to stress to people, a lot of people, including those of you in the chat, really down on Calle Jarnkrok's game. I think it's because he didn't finish last season healthy. If you recall, in year number one, people are like, my goodness, to get that value, I think he makes 2.1 per season on a 4-year deal. To get that value, I think where he had a career high 20 goals, people were over the moon. Then last year, the second half, he just couldn't stay healthy. It went into the playoffs. It spiraled out of control where he couldn't even contribute a goal in a 7-game playoff series. And then everybody all of a sudden out on Calle Jarnkrok. I think the biggest thing here is getting him healthy. If healthy, I think he could be a really good, consistent producer for this team. I really feel that way.
Yeah, I think there's some recency bias with what you last remember thinking about him. And by all accounts, it sounds like he probably was injured with something, like I said, is pretty debilitating when you have one of those hernias. It's right in above that groin area where it's kind of in your midsection around your core. And every single movement, if your upper body's handling a puck, if you're absorbing a body check, your lower body's skating, stopping and starting, all like it's just, I can imagine it would just be so hard to be effective in the National Hockey League battling something like that. And it must have been done significantly because look how much time he's had to heal it. And here we are in November thinking he's coming back and another setback. So I think he's certainly done some damage with that. Like I said, I haven't had a hernia before, but by all accounts, it's a pretty significant deal when you do it the wrong way. And obviously he's been battling it. And when you look at his production, the first thing you think about was him recently. And by all accounts, I imagine he was quite injured for that. So I don't think it's quite fair to do that, but looking forward to him getting healthy, wishing him all the best and hoping that maybe I'm wrong and we do see him before Christmas or something. And it wasn't as big of a setback, but all you can do is take the information from the bits and pieces that they give you from inside that locker room. And right now it looks like they're shedding some negative light on his progression.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.